Hey everyone, Feb is coming up fast, and if you're getting Social Security, SSI, SSDI, survivor benefits, or spousal benefits, you absolutely cannot ignore this date. I'm not being dramatic here. I'm not exaggerating to get your attention. I'm talking about a critical deadline that affects over 68 million Americans, and that's not a typo. 68 million people need to know about this, and if you miss it, you're going to be left in the dark about your 2026 benefits, scrambling to figure out what your new payment amount will be, unable to plan your budget, and potentially missing important notifications about changes to your account. Now, before you panic, before your stress level shoots through the roof, let me tell you what this is really about. I spent hours going through the actual Social Security Administration announcements, reading through their official notices, and going through all the fine print so you don't have to wade through pages of government language. And yes, there's a deadline that you need to be aware of and take action on, but there's also some really important information about your benefits that you need to know, information that could make a real difference in how you manage your finances next year. So quick though, if this video helps you, if you find value in me breaking down all this government bureaucracy into plain English, just take 2 seconds and hit that like button. It helps more people find this information, and when more people see it, fewer people get caught off guard by deadlines and policy changes. Okay, let's get into it. Let me walk you through everything you need to know, step by step, so you're completely prepared. First, let's talk about what just happened recently, what triggered all of this attention to dates and deadlines. On October 24th, the Social Security Administration finally announced the 2025 cost of living adjustment, the COLA that everyone waits for anxiously every year, and it came in at 2.8%. Now, this was later than usual because of the government shutdown that disrupted operations and delayed calculations, and a lot of seniors were genuinely confused about whether we'd even see a COLA increase this year. There were rumors flying around, people worried that the shutdown would delay or cancel the increase, and uncertainty was creating real anxiety for millions of people whose budgets depend on knowing these numbers. The good news is that 2.8% is higher than expected. Most analysts, economists, and policy experts predicted around 2.1% based on inflation trends throughout the year. So 2.8% is actually better than forecasted, which is a pleasant surprise in these difficult times. The bad news, and I need to be honest with you about this because sugarcoating doesn't help anyone, is that for most people, the Medicare Part B premium increase is going to eat up a big chunk of that raise. So, while your Social Security check goes up by 2.8%, your Medicare costs also go up, and you're left wondering where the actual increase went. You look at your net deposit, the amount that actually hits your bank account after Medicare is deducted, and it might only be $20 or $30 more than before. That's the frustrating reality that millions of seniors face every single year. And here's something nobody talks about that really gets me frustrated. Something that should make everyone angry if they understood how unfair it is. This COLA is based on the CPIW, the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, which measures inflation for urban wage earners, not seniors, not retirees, not people living on fixed incomes. It measures spending patterns for people who are still working full-time, people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who are employed. That means it doesn't accurately reflect what you're actually spending money on as a retiree or someone on disability. Your prescriptions that keep getting more expensive every year, your health care costs that rise faster than almost anything else, your utilities that seem to climb regardless of how carefully you conserve, your groceries that have gone up dramatically. The CPIW doesn't capture your reality. There's a better metric called the CPIE, the Consumer Price Index for the elderly, that actually looks at senior spending patterns, tracking what people 62 and older actually spend their money on. If Congress switched to the CPIE for calculating COLA, experts estimate benefits could increase by $300 to $500 more per person annually. That's not a small difference. That's real money that could make a real difference in people's lives. If you support changing to the CPIE, drop a comment and let me know, because if we don't speak up, if beneficiaries don't make their voices heard, nothing changes. Politicians need to hear from real people about how this affects your daily life. Let me give you some real numbers that show why Social Security matters so much, why this isn't just about some government program, but about people's survival. According to the SSA's own data, Social Security makes up over 30% of income for people 65 and older on average, but it's even more critical than that for many people when you dig into the details. About 39% of men and 44% of women over 65 rely on Social Security for more than half their income. Think about that. Nearly half of all older women depend on Social Security for the majority of their income. And get this statistic that should shock everyone. 12% of men and 15% of women rely on Social Security for at least 90% of their income. Think about that for a moment. Let that sink in. 9 out of every $10 they have comes from Social Security. They have virtually no other income source, no pension, no significant savings generating income, no rental properties, nothing but that monthly Social Security check. And yet, despite the program's critical importance, around 5 million seniors still receive checks that put them below the poverty level according to federal poverty guidelines. That's the reality we're dealing with. Social Security isn't just important in some abstract policy sense. It's a lifeline. It's the difference between keeping the lights on or sitting in the dark because you can't afford the electric bill, between eating 3 meals a day or skipping meals and going hungry, between affording prescriptions that keep you alive or cutting pills in half and hoping for the best. These aren't hypotheticals. These are real choices millions of Americans face every month. Okay, so here's what the Feb deadline is actually about, what you need to understand, and what action you need to take. The Social Security Administration is going to start notifying people about their new benefit amounts for 2026 in late Feb. These notifications tell you exactly what your new monthly payment will be after the COLA increase is applied, after Medicare premiums are deducted, after any other adjustments are factored in. But here's the catch, the detail that makes this deadline so important. To get that notification delivered to you digitally and quickly, to see it as soon as the information is available, you need to have a My Social Security account set up by Feb. If you don't have that account by the 19th, you're going to have to wait for a paper letter in the mail, which could take weeks to arrive depending on where you live and how the Postal Service is operating. And during that time, during those weeks of waiting, you won't know exactly what your new benefit amount is, which makes it nearly impossible to budget for the new year. You can't plan your expenses if you don't know your income. You can't decide what bills to pay when if you don't know when money is coming and how much it will be. This is especially important right now because with the 2.8% COLA increase, your individual benefit amount is going to change, and everyone's increase is slightly different based on what they're currently receiving. If you get $1,500 a month now, you'll get a different dollar amount increase than someone getting $2,000 a month. You need to know your exact new number, your specific benefit amount, so you can plan accordingly. Let me tell you why having a My Social Security account is a game changer, and not just for this Feb notification, but for managing your benefits year-round. These accounts are completely free. You don't pay a subscription fee. You don't pay setup costs. The Social Security Administration provides this service at no charge to all beneficiaries, and they let you handle so much of your Social Security business online instead of trying to call that nightmare helpline where you sit on hold for hours, or going to a field office and waiting in line for half the day, burning gas money and your valuable time. With a My Social Security account, you can request a replacement Social Security card if yours is lost or stolen, get benefit estimates if you're planning retirement or considering when to claim benefits, change your address when you move without having to prove your identity in person, print benefit verification letters when landlords or financial institutions need proof of income, and get instant notifications about changes to your benefits instead of waiting weeks for mail. During the government shutdown earlier this year, people without online accounts couldn't even request replacement cards. The system was essentially frozen for anyone who didn't have digital access. That's how critical this is, especially when government operations are uncertain. And let's be honest about the alternative, about what happens if you don't have an online account. Calling the Social Security helpline is torture. I'm not exaggerating. Millions of seniors sit on hold for hours just trying to talk to a real human being. Some people call for days, literally days in a row, and never get through because the lines are so overwhelmed. When you finally do get through, you might get disconnected after waiting an hour, or you might reach someone who gives you incorrect information. With the online account, you can handle most things yourself on your own schedule at 3 a.m. if that's when you're awake and thinking about it, without the stress of phone trees and hold music, and wondering if you'll ever reach an actual person. All right, here's your action plan, your step-by-step guide to what you need to do. Before Feb.EE, which is your deadline for getting digital notifications quickly, you need to create a My Social Security account if you don't already have one. Here's exactly how you do it, broken down into simple steps. Go to SSA.gov, that's the official Social Security website, SSA.gov. Don't Google Social Security and click on the first link, because sometimes scam sites pay to appear at the top of search results. Type the address directly into your browser or bookmark the official site. Look for the My Social Security section, usually prominently displayed on the homepage, and click on Create an Account. You're going to need your Social Security number, which you should have memorized or have on your Social Security card, an email address that you can access because they'll send verification emails, and some personal information to verify your identity, things like your date of birth, address, and possibly financial information. The verification process can be a little tricky, and this is where people often get frustrated and give up. They might ask you questions based on your credit history, like, which of these addresses have you lived at? Or which bank issued your mortgage? Or they might ask you to verify your identity through ID.me, which is a third-party identity verification service that the government uses. Don't let this intimidate you. It's designed to protect your information from identity thieves, which is actually a good thing, even though it's annoying. Take your time. Have your information ready before you start. Pull out old documents if you need to verify addresses or account numbers. And follow the steps carefully, reading each question completely before answering. If you get stuck, if the verification fails, or you can't remember answers to questions, ask for help. There's no shame in this. Have a family member help you, someone you trust who can sit with you and walk through the process. Call your local senior center, many of which offer tech support for older adults. Contact your area agency on aging, which has staff specifically trained to help seniors with this kind of thing. Many libraries also offer tech help for seniors, with librarians or volunteers who can guide you through online processes. There's absolutely no shame in asking for assistance. This stuff is deliberately complicated to prevent fraud, but that means it's also complicated for legitimate users. Getting help is smart, not weak. Once your account is set up, once you've successfully created it and verified your identity, you can also download the My Social Security mobile app if you have a smartphone. It makes checking your information even easier, putting all your benefit details right at your fingertips. But the online account through a computer browser works perfectly fine if you don't have or don't want to use a smartphone app. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the uncomfortable truth that needs to be discussed. That 2.8% COLA sounds okay on paper, better than the 2.1% that was predicted. But let's look at what's actually happening with prices in the real world, where you buy groceries and pay bills. According to a recent Gallup report tracking consumer prices, grocery prices are up 21% over recent years, 21%, and your Social Security is going up 2.8%. Do that math. Your food costs went up way more than your benefits. The COLA doesn't come close to covering actual grocery inflation. Same story with utilities, which have climbed dramatically in many areas. Same with prescription drugs, which seem to get more expensive every year, even for the same medications. Same with rent, if you're a renter, which has skyrocketed in many markets. And pretty much everything else seniors spend money on has increased faster than 2.8%. The COLA is supposed to help you maintain your purchasing power, to ensure that your benefits buy as much this year as they did last year. But it's not keeping up with reality. It's not matching actual inflation in the categories where seniors spend most of their money. This is why so many seniors are struggling right now, why food banks are seeing more older adults, why seniors are cutting pills and skipping meals, and living in cold homes to save money. Your checks are going up a little bit, but your expenses are going up a lot more. And when you factor in the Medicare Part B premium increase, which takes a bite out of your Social Security before you even see it, many people feel like they're actually falling behind rather than keeping pace. There's something else I need to mention that affects all Social Security recipients, and it's serious. This isn't something most people know about, but it's important. During a recent congressional hearing, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse raised major concerns about Social Security data security, asking pointed questions about how beneficiary information is protected. According to testimony presented to Congress, a massive Social Security database may have been copied to an unsecured cloud server, creating what cybersecurity experts called a very high-risk proposition. We're talking about the personal information of millions of Americans potentially at risk: names, Social Security numbers, benefit amounts, addresses, banking information. The Social Security Administration has denied some of these claims or downplayed the severity, saying their security measures are adequate, but the concern is real among cybersecurity professionals and privacy advocates. With all the focus on government efficiency and data systems being accessed by various groups, contractors, and outside entities, your personal information, your Social Security number that can't be changed if compromised, your financial details, your identity could be vulnerable to hackers or misuse. This is another reason why monitoring your My Social Security account regularly is so important. You need to keep an eye on your information, log in periodically to check that nothing looks wrong, and watch for any suspicious activity or changes you didn't authorize. Your Social Security data is gold to identity thieves, worth thousands of dollars on the black market, and millions of seniors are potential targets because they're seen as less tech-savvy and easier to exploit. Let me speak directly to specific groups for a moment because different beneficiaries face different situations. If you're a retiree living primarily on Social Security, if that check is your main income source, you need to know your exact 2026 benefit amount as soon as possible so you can budget. With prices going up faster than benefits, every dollar counts. You need to know whether you'll have enough for rent and utilities and food, or whether you need to start cutting expenses now. If you're on disability SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, this affects you too. Your benefits are getting the same 2.8% increase that retirement benefits get, and you need to plan for how that changes your monthly budget, especially if you're also dealing with Medicare costs or expensive medical treatments that insurance doesn't fully cover. SSI recipients, people on supplemental security income, you're in a particularly tough spot because SSI payments are much lower to begin with, starting below $1,000 a month for individuals. Any increase gets eaten up fast by rising costs, and you have no cushion. Make sure you have that My Social Security account set up so you know exactly what you'll be receiving. Survivor and spousal benefit recipients, this COLA applies to you as well. Don't assume this information doesn't matter to you just because you're receiving benefits based on someone else's work record rather than your own. Your benefits are increasing too, and you need to know by how much. And if you're caring for someone receiving benefits, if you're the adult child of an aging parent, if you're helping a spouse with disabilities, if you're responsible for a disabled adult child, help them get their account set up. Many seniors struggle with technology not because they're not capable, but because these systems are genuinely confusing and not designed with older users in mind. They need someone they trust to walk them through it patiently. Here's something practical you need to start thinking about now before the new year arrives and you're scrambling to figure out your budget. Once you know your exact new benefit amount in late February, once you get that notification through your My Social Security account or in the mail, you need to sit down and redo your budget for 2026. This isn't optional. This is essential if you're living on a fixed income. Start with your fixed expenses, the things that don't change month to month, rent or mortgage payment, utilities, which might vary slightly but average out to a predictable amount, insurance premiums, health, auto, renters, or homeowners, prescriptions that you take regularly every month. These are your non-negotiables, the things you absolutely must pay. Then look at variable expenses, things that change but that you still need. Groceries, which you can adjust somewhat but can't eliminate. gas for your car if you drive, phone bill, personal items like toiletries and household supplies. Compare what you're spending now against what you'll have coming in with the COLA increase. Be honest with yourself. Write down real numbers, not what you wish you were spending. Look at your actual bank statements and receipts. And here's the critical part. Be realistic about rising costs. If your groceries cost $400 a month now, budget for at least $450 in 2026. Prices aren't coming down. If your utilities are $150, plan for $175 or more. Build in cushion for increases because they're coming whether we like it or not. Look for places to cut if you need to, if the numbers don't add up and you're coming up short. Can you switch to generic medications and save $50 or $100 a month? Are there senior discounts you're not using at grocery stores, restaurants, or other businesses? Can you qualify for utility assistance programs like LIHEAP that help with heating and cooling costs? Is there a food bank nearby where you could supplement your grocery budget? I know these aren't fun questions. I know it's frustrating and sometimes humiliating to even consider them, but they're necessary ones if you're facing a budget shortfall. Pride doesn't pay bills, and there's no shame in using resources that exist specifically to help people in your situation. Look, I'm not going to lie to you because you deserve honesty. The situation for Social Security recipients is tough right now. The COLA increases aren't keeping up with actual inflation in the categories that matter most to you. Medicare costs keep rising, eating into your benefits. Data security is a legitimate concern that could affect millions of people. And millions of seniors are barely scraping by, making impossible choices between necessities. But here's what I want you to remember, what I need you to hold on to. You earned these benefits. You paid into this system your whole working life, decades of payroll taxes coming out of every paycheck. Or in the case of disability and survivor benefits, you or your loved one qualified for them because of genuine need, because tragedy struck, or because health failed. You have every right to these benefits, and you deserve to receive them without jumping through a million hoops. The Feb deadline is actually an opportunity when you look at it the right way. It's a chance to take control of your benefits information, to get ahead of the notification process instead of playing catch-up, and to make sure you're set up to manage your Social Security business online going forward, making your life easier rather than harder. Okay, here's what I need you to do today if possible, or at the very latest by Feb. This is your checklist, your action plan. 1. Go to SSA.gov and create your My Social Security account if you don't have one. Do it now, not later when you might forget. 2. If you already have an account, log in and make sure all your information is current. Check your address, your phone number, your email, your direct deposit information. 3. Once you get your 2026 benefit notification in late February, don't just glance at it. Sit down and create a realistic budget based on your new amount. 4. Look into assistance programs you might qualify for that you're not currently using. Utility help, food assistance, prescription drug programs through pharmaceutical companies, anything that can stretch your dollars further. 5. Stay informed about developments affecting beneficiaries. Data security is a real concern, so monitor your accounts regularly and your credit at least annually. Sign up for free credit monitoring if you haven't already. I know this is overwhelming. I know you're tired of things getting more expensive while your checks barely go up. I know you're frustrated with a system that makes everything complicated when it should be simple and straightforward. But you're not alone in this. That's the most important thing I can tell you. Millions of people are in the exact same situation, feeling the exact same frustration, dealing with the exact same challenges. We're all trying to figure out how to make ends meet on fixed incomes in an economy that keeps getting more expensive. And we're all dealing with the same complicated government systems that seem designed to confuse rather than help, but we've got each other. That's why I make these videos, to break down the confusing stuff and give you the information you actually need in plain English without jargon or bureaucratic doublespeak. That's why this community exists, so we can share information, help each other navigate these systems, and make sure nobody falls through the cracks. Take that first step. Create that My Social Security account before Feb. Get the information you need about your 2026 benefits. And then you can breathe a little easier, knowing you're prepared for whatever comes next. If this video helped you understand the Feb deadline and why it matters, please hit that subscribe button below. I'm constantly monitoring Social Security, Medicare, SSI, SSDI, and all the benefit programs that affect seniors and people with disabilities. I break it all down so you don't have to wade through government jargon or spend hours researching. Drop a comment and let me know. Do you already have a My Social Security account, or will you be creating one before Feb? And if you think the COLA should be based on the CPIE instead of the CPIW, let me know that too. Your voice matters, and when enough voices speak up, change becomes possible. Share this video with other Social Security recipients who need to know about this deadline. Share it in your Senior Center Facebook group or community page. Text it to your friends who might not have seen this information. Email it to family members who need to know. The more people who understand this deadline, the fewer people will be caught off guard. Check out my other videos about Social Security benefits, Medicare enrollment, and how to navigate the SSA system. I've got step-by-step guides and real advice from people who've been through these processes. Stay informed, take care of each other, and remember, you've earned these benefits through a lifetime of hard work. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. I'll see you in the next video. Stay strong out there.